Hello and welcome to Afaria 320, Application Policies. At the end of this course, you'll be able to learn how to manage application deployment, create an enterprise application policy, create an iOS App Store application policy, create an Android Market application policy, link and deploy an application policy, and install a deployed application. Mobile technology is impacting every business, transforming experiences for employees, partners, and customers. Enterprises can realize significant business benefits from mobilizing their business, and central to any mobility strategy is the requirement to deploy and manage your applications portfolio. Of course, SAP is a leading solution provider for mobile applications, but this also includes many of SAP's partners who are rapidly developing new apps and bringing them to market. SAP and our partner ecosystem have already developed a variety of mobile business apps that accelerate business processes and enhance productivity, from executives and knowledge workers who need to be productive 24/7 to traditional road warriors like sales and field service reps completing business processes on the go. Apps are available from the SAP Store at store.sap.com. Apps can come from other sources as well. Commercial sources such as the iTunes Store and Google Play are great sources of apps, and many of them are free. Afaria will support applications sourced from SAP, our partners, internally developed, and from commercial stores such as iTunes and Google Play, all of the above. The apps can be delivered either from Afaria's package server or directly from iTunes or Google Play. When an app is to be installed directly from one of these commercial stores, Afaria's policy simply creates references to the app within the commercial store. When an application policy based on a commercial store is deployed, apps are downloaded and installed directly from the commercial store itself. That also means the user is going to be prompted for their iTunes or Google account and associated password. In Afaria, applications are deployed by means of application policies, which define both commercial and enterprise application packages. The policies determine which applications are available for devices to browse and install. App policies can also be deployed by what becomes effectively an internal app store. There are two sources for apps available with Afaria. Apps can be sourced as either internal apps or sourced from commercial app stores such as iTunes or Google Play. In turn, once configured as application policies, linked, and deployed, the apps are then available to the users to download through the Enterprise App Store. The users can download and install the apps themselves, or Afaria supports a silent installation. Note that the iTunes Store or Google Play are not required to distribute your apps, although they can be utilized, giving you much more flexibility in building out your apps portfolio. In reviewing Afaria's governing structures, app policies are associated with groups, and users and devices are associated with groups by linking the policies and the device to a group. Typically, groups are set up according to roles within the enterprise, such as finance, accounting, sales, logistics, or however your enterprise is structured. And because groups may be set up this way, what this does then is create a role-based enterprise app store. Apps can be deployed for the entire enterprise, but typically are role-based. By role-based, we mean that the apps would be available based on someone's role within the enterprise. Since an app can belong to more than one group, there would be some commonality where apps are available and can be deployed to multiple groups. For example, apps for the sales group would be available for that group. In their version of the App Store, they might see apps A, D, and E. Someone in accounting might not have access to the sales app, as that's not their role within the enterprise. And likewise, someone in sales might not have access to some of the apps that might be unique to accounting. Yet, since an app can belong to more than one group, there could be some commonality where apps are available and could be deployed to multiple groups, or essentially the entire enterprise. The possibilities are nearly limitless. The process of creating an enterprise application policy is identical for both Apple iOS and Android devices. There are no differences. Here we'll demonstrate an iOS enterprise policy. Begin by navigating to Applications Policies. From the main menu, select Application Policies or, optionally, click on the Policy List icon. Click on the new icon and select Application and then iOS Enterprise. An enterprise application, by definition, is an app that's typically developed and produced internally through SAP or acquired from a partner and will be delivered from the Afaria package server. It's not an app that will be delivered from iTunes. Enter a description for the policy. Note that a description must be unique, so if you've got an Android version and an iOS version of the same app, it's a good process to note that within the description. Optionally, you could click on Passcode, which would require the user to enter their passcode when the app is installed. We'll leave this unchecked to support a silent install. Click on Deploy using MDM protocol. When this checkbox is checked, and after the app's been deployed, the app would silently be installed during the next device connection. When the device is in a connected state, the application would then be installed. There are additional checkboxes to prevent data backup and to remove with MDM relationship. With MDM relationship means that once the device is no longer controlled by Afaria, it would disable the use of the application. The app remains installed on the device but no longer functions. This effectively creates a security checkpoint to ensure that only controlled devices access your applications. You can assign a category to the device, and these categories are displayed in the Enterprise App Store. All categories can be created and managed. Click on the Manage hyperlink and the Manage Categories dialog box is displayed. Here you can add, change, or delete categories. Select a category for the app and click on the Select icon. For an enterprise app, you must provide the location of the actual file to deploy. Click on the Browse button, locate the app, and click Open to select the appropriate path. In the background, the path to the package will be updated, which is not shown, but it is updated. Note that the process of creating an Android Enterprise Application Policy is identical to the process of creating an iOS Enterprise Policy, and there are no differences. Click on the Save button to save your policy. Creating an App Store application policy is similar to the Enterprise policy. Again, click on the new icon, then click on Application and iOS App Store. Enter your policy description. Click on General in the list box. Select a category for the app. For the iTunes Store, you must enter the unique identifier for the app. Click in the information box, then click the Update hyperlink. Afaria will connect to iTunes and retrieve the description information for the app. Now, where do you get the identifier for the app? Click on the itunes.apple.com hyperlink. A browser window will be displayed that's the browser-based version of iTunes. Now you can search for apps within this window. When you find your app, you can review all of the description information to make sure you found the correct one. From within the URL of the app, you'll find a unique identifier as highlighted. Typically, the identifier is a unique number and is located after the text ID. Copy the identifier. From there, you paste the identifier into the App Store number field. Click on Save to save your policy. Creating an Android Market application policy is identical to an iOS App Store policy with a few exceptions. Click on the new icon and click on Application and Android Market. Enter your policy description. Click on General in the list box. Select a category for the app. For the Android market, you must enter the unique identifier for the app. Note that the identifier for Android apps is different. It typically exists in the form of a URL. Enter the identifier, click on the information text box, and click on the Update Hyperlink. Afaria will connect to Google Play and retrieve the description information for the app. To get the identifier for the app, click on the market.android.com hyperlink. A browser window will be displayed that's the browser-based version of Google Play. You can search for apps within this window, and when you find your app, you can review all of the descriptive information for the app to confirm you found the correct one. Then, within the URL of the app, once again you'll find a unique identifier as highlighted. The identifier for Android apps is more like the form of a URL, and it's located after the text ID, the equal sign, and before the ampersand and feature. Copy the identifier and paste it into the package field. Click on the Update hyperlink if you haven't done so already to retrieve the information. Click on Save to save your policy. Before an app can be installed, it must first be linked to a group and then deployed. Navigate to the Group menu and select a group to which you want the app deployed. Use the linker to display the linked policies and devices in the group. In the Policies panel, select the Link drop-down box and select Unlinked to display a list of policies that are not linked to the group. You can resize the window to make things easier to see. Using the OS drop-down, select iOS to display only unlinked iOS policies. Scroll down until you find your policy, then select it. On the menu bar, click on Link to link your application policy to the group. Now that you've linked your policy to the group, next you would deploy the policy. Make sure your group is selected, then simply select the Apply Policies button to deploy the application to the group. A notification message lets you know that the policy has been applied. What this does is it makes the app available to the entire group. If you choose to have the policy silently deployed, the app would be installed the next time the device is connected. Otherwise, the app would be available perhaps in the end-user self-service portal or in the Afaria client for installation. Installing an application is easy with the Afaria client, and don't forget you can silently install certain apps without user intervention. To install the app yourself, first tap on Afaria to launch it. If a connection is available, Afaria will first connect to the host server, verify its MDM control, and then display the message Verification Complete. Tap on the app's icon on the bottom. A list of applications is available. The list is essentially composed of the apps linked to the group to which a user belongs. Only applications assigned to the group are displayed. Not every app is available, only the ones assigned and linked to the group are displayed. You can tap on the various categories that you created when you created the application policy. Tapping on the various categories displays the apps by category, and there's also an option to display all. Find the app you want to install and simply tap on it. Since the app is new, you have the option to install it. Tap on Install. This application was created through an iTunes Store application policy, so you're taken to iTunes to install the app. If the app were already installed, you'd have the option to update or reinstall the app. Next, enter your Apple ID. An Apple ID is required for each user. This is a requirement of Apple, and Afaria is constrained by Apple's requirement to enforce Apple IDs. Tap on OK and the app should be installed. To validate your app works correctly, simply launch it and test it. Your application has now successfully been deployed. You should now be able to know how to manage application deployment, create an enterprise application policy, create an iOS App Store application policy, create an Android Market application policy, link and deploy an application policy, and install a deployed application.